My name is Kaya, and I'm 26 years old. I was really looking for something to help ground me into myself because I've spent a lot of time in my life learning through books or videos or therapy. But even though consciously I was applying these learnings, my unconscious still felt like it was in survival mode. My sense of self still felt kind of covered and blocked by a lot of old thought patterns. And it was really exhausting to always be sifting through them. Just existing was feeling like a lot of work. And yeah, also just from a somatic standpoint, my body felt tense even when I thought I was relaxed, and it was tiring. My prior experience with psychedelics was just using mushrooms, and I have had some really amazing experiences with them. Often really growth-oriented, sometimes just having a good time and seeing some pretty expanding visuals, to having really intense trips that involved a lot of realizations and losing my sense of self while tripping. I generally get pretty strong effects from drugs in general. My standard perception on psychedelic ceremonies would probably involve a group of people kind of seated in a circle with one person guiding everyone and everyone doing a huge amount of processing. Before using Iboga, I'd read that it's also often a really intense experience, that at a high dose it can involve losing your ability to move or control your bodily functions, and that most people experience extremely vivid hallucinations. This was very different. The solitude felt so good. I had no real physical side effects at all. I did get some auditory hallucinations, a couple of which were slightly unnerving because they were possibly related to things that I had been avoiding. But it was really just the first day. Well, once Aaliyah helped me to kind of accept everything that I saw or felt. The only auditory hallucinations I got sounded like singing bowls, and they were really comforting, honestly. You do also get like a small amount of visual hallucination when your eyes are open, but like very mild, just things looking extra vivid. I felt very safe the whole time. The setting is so stunning and there's so much space with no one but trees and nature, and it really allows you to move into a space where you let go of anyone else's perceptions of yourself and any other perceptions of the world around you besides your own. It really was a perfect space to reconnect with yourself. My mental process was interesting because it started out with a lot of calculating and trying to figure out what everything meant and reach conclusions and find directions from there. But each day that really dropped away more and more. It honestly only stayed in that pattern for at least at the same level for the first day and a half, and it fell away really significantly after that. It felt kind of like clearing away cobwebs and then seeing what's really the most interesting parts of my being to focus on. The whole thing became much more of a body experience for me, just kind of rediscovering parts of myself and new pathways and energetic muscles that I'd forgotten, and then learning how to identify them and wake them up and actually use them again. There were definitely a fair amount of challenges surrounding all of these topics. This was why after the first day I felt quite overwhelmed. However, the aspects of Aaliyah's treatment that helped me so much was being able to reconnect with the blueprint energies that were already within me prior to being imprinted, I guess you could say, by these harder experiences. We were able to address a lot of the impact of these experiences simply by being curious and acknowledging and releasing the imprints that they had left, but primarily putting the focus on what we could give energy towards instead. So it avoided a more traditional approach of like having a pretty overwhelming experience of having to kind of really go back and delve into and relive or fully re-examine difficult moments that had already happened, but still acknowledge their impact and just helped shift things into new spaces. When Aaliyah first started singing, it felt very peaceful and calming. It sounds very mystical. Throughout the week, that feeling continued, but the longer I was there, the more it felt like her voice and the vibrations were also helping physically shift vibrations associated with energies in my own body, and also like wake up parts of my energy body as well. My own voice process was interesting because my voice was very blocked. It felt like there was a lot of mental noise that slowed down the process of my words actually exiting my mouth. And that was something we spoke about a lot. And this showed in my speech. It was often really quiet. I had a lot of people like ask me to repeat things because I would say them in a voice that I thought was loud enough that they could hear, but was too quiet and they couldn't actually understand. And I also mumbled a lot when I wasn't fully comfortable. And actually getting in touch with my intuitive body and allowing it to take over my voice through singing was actually a really altering experience for me, because it was a first step for me to reconnect my intuitive body with my physical body in general, and it felt like the most natural one. Now I do some form of vocal practice every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. It's extremely centering and connecting for me. And when I do it for even 10 minutes, my whole body will vibrate, and it feels really good. The benefits in my daily life have been huge. I have so many new tools to center myself. I start my morning so differently now, and there's just a lot more ritual and presence. I feel more at home in myself. I have a lot more energy. And when I do start feeling off, I have these new practices that help to calm my presence without even anyone noticing. I did have a fair amount of stored energies that were disrupting my physical body. For example, my neck, my shoulder, and my general posture, it was all carrying a lot. And the work on my energy body that we did ended up making a great impact on my physical body, and my posture is definitely improved, and my neck and shoulders have felt aligned and not painful at all since. I feel a lot less stiff, a lot more relaxed. Aaliyah is an amazing healer during her sessions. She really gives a lot of space and empowers you to kind of create your own journey and structure for a large part, and then just help support and offer direction on whatever rides you choose to go on. I can say her aura throughout the experience felt very grounding and calming, and the guidance and feedback that she offered each day was so essential to the learning and the experiences that I had during my time there. Aaliyah really gives space for your own interpretations of everything, as every visualization is coming from your own being. So I feel like she really acknowledges the fact that no one can translate that better than you can. But she does a really amazing job of offering the right questions and helping you to dive deeper and get into those underlying layers and communications that your spirit or the spirit of the Iboga is offering. She's not dominating in any way. It felt like having a gentle friend who's there to help you reach new destinations that you aren't familiar with, but without overshadowing or telling you all the places that you need to visit. The biggest impact of this whole experience has just been coming home to myself. I feel clear. Everything is a practice, so I feel that unless I keep choosing to walk on the new paths that this journey introduced me to, I would probably slowly regress into older, more ingrained paths again. But the whole retreat, it genuinely gives you completely new awareness and center to yourself that allows you to continue practices and walking into new footprints easily and naturally. It doesn't feel like something that is difficult for me. Like, it feels intuitive to step into these new forms of being. And yeah, I felt significantly calmer and happier and more grounded in myself since. I'm really grateful.